Hello everyone, my name is Bethany and today we will be interviewing a person who has previous experience working as a physical therapist. And we'll also be discussing the significance of mobility. Please start us off by introducing yourself and giving insight into your background, please.
My name is Irene Acevedo. I am a physical therapist. I became one in 1994 because I really like sports and I like music. And I also like medicine, except I don't like medication, or the prescribing part of it. So I decided to do something that had to do with sports. And so I first aimed at sports medicine. And so I went through my physical therapy program and did all my internships and all those things, rotation clinicals, and passed the exam and became a physical therapist.
Good for you. So tell me what you do now.
Right now, I am still a physical therapist. I have practiced in Pennsylvania, Illinois, Chicago, Utah, and Texas. This is my 5th state that I have my license to practice at. So what I do now is not much different from what I used to do, except now I have 2 specialties. In the past, I did home health, hospice, acute care, acute rehab, med-surg, which is also acute care. I do telehealth at the current time because I also homeschool my children. So I don't have a lot of time to go into the clinic and spend so much time there with very heavily involved patients. But I have time to see patients online. So that's what I do. I evaluate, diagnose, and treat patients based on what I observe, what I make them do to investigate what's causing them to have pain or immobility, things like that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What do you believe is the most important part of your job?
The most important part of my job is to improve people's quality of life. They don't come to you just because they have an outing, a pain here, a pain there, but it's actually that they cannot work anymore, or they cannot go for a run anymore, so their quality of life has been altered. I find it very important to address the whole person, not just, okay, now let's just fix your knee pain, but let's see what can be done so that you have better quality of life.
So like rather than just a small issue, the whole
Right, we're a whole person,
yeah.
and our mind actually is over our body.
Right.
So if you take care of the mind, a lot of problems actually will automatically disappear.
Very true, very true. Do you work with a specific age group, and if so, which one?
I work with anybody that is puberty and up.
Oh, okay. And what are some common injuries you see within this age group?
Orthopedic injuries, sports injury. For the younger population, for the older population, usually it's that they sit too long. So they lose lean muscle mass. They lose the ability to go for a long walk. They lose the ability to bear weight. Maybe they become obese. I think obesity is a real pandemic. What comes with obesity is not only diabetes, but a cascade of orthopedic problems and psychological issues. I can't just treat, okay, if you have a herniated disc, I can't just treat a herniated disc. I have to figure out what was the cause for your disc to herniate. Is it sitting too long? Are you too heavy? What can we improve? Do you have too much inflammation going on in your body that prevents you from even healing, prevents you from sleeping, prevents you from having a motivated mind to do something for yourself? Something like that. So you kind of have to know the person and treat the person and not just the joint.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Can you describe the exercises or techniques you've used to prevent contractures in rehabilitation patients?
Contractures. Okay. Well, first it depends on where the contracture occurs.
Okay. Where is it most common?
Most common is under your thighs, your hamstring.
Oh.
Because patients either sit in the wheelchair too long, then their thighs are permanently shortened.
Right.
You should be able to straighten your leg, but if you're like this all the time, And when you lay down in bed, people stack 2 pillows under your knees and you're bent also, you never have a chance to straighten your legs. So to address that, you have to address mobility. You have to get the patient up. Hopefully they have the ability to put weight on their legs. You have to work on positioning and find out why do they even have contraction to begin with. A lot of times it's because they have a stroke, they don't move, nobody moves them, nobody shows them how to move, and they just lay there.
So lack of movement.
Lack of movement. So you have to work up a whole program to get the family involved, caregiver involved, to get them to move again.
Oh, okay. In general, how does mobility play a role in injury prevention?
Your joints are made to move. If you move, your joints work for you, and they're not so prone to injuries. If you don't move, your joints will give you problems because they're too stiff. The more you move, the less injury you will have.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How long does it take to see improvements in mobility?
It depends on the age, the mind, like how motivated are they?
Yeah.
If they're motivated, they always get better faster. And also in general, their lifestyle. If they have an active lifestyle, they always recover faster.
So it's dependent on their lifestyles and maybe how consistent they are as well?
Yep, lifestyle also affects their mentality.
Right. What are some key factors that contribute to mobility?
Culture, environment. Environment is powerful.
Yeah.
So if you go to Europe, for example, you find yourself on your feet all the time. You go to the bus stop, you go to the subway. You don't really want to drive a car because it's a pain actually sometimes to drive. It's much easier to just hop on the train and get from A to B. But in the United States, unfortunately, we don't move. You have to make a point to go to the gym. And you have to pay for the gym membership. It doesn't come with. And culturally, we're already so sedentary. There are video games, you can shop online, you can watch all kinds of movies on Netflix. And anywhere you go, you will hop into your car. And so there's no time standing waiting for your bus or waiting for your subway train. And so that has a huge impact on a person. Not a lot of people use stand-up desk. So they just sit, and most chairs are not designed for ergonomics.
Now, what are the long-term effects of stretching so we can encourage people to do so?
Stretching makes your body actually relax. If you are not so tense, that means your muscles are ready for contraction. If you're already tense, it's harder for your muscle to contract so much more. But if you stretch out, you're more relaxed and you're more ready. And so you can have greater amount of contraction. And so, but long term, stretching just makes you feel you're mobile. Your knee isn't stiff, or your hamstring isn't too tight. I think before any workout and after any workout, we should have adequate amount of stretching.
Right. What are some common mobility limitations people experience, and how can they be prevented?
You can give yourself a stand-up desk. You can alternate sitting and standing at first until you can just stand up all day. Just by standing, putting weight on your feet, you actually improve your cardiovascular health and cardiopulmonary health. That means your lungs work better, your heart works better. Your heart has to pump blood all the way to the brain and from all the way to your toes. So if you're standing upright, you have so much that the heart has to work for.
So it like trains
Yeah.
trains it when you
So
say
it
that.
trains your heart and your lungs to get more oxygen, to be more efficient. Another is to do daily walking or count your steps. There are many studies that shows people over 65, they really need to have at least 4,000 steps a day. People who are younger, they do recommend like 10,000 steps a day to have to lower all-cause mortality. That means no matter what it is that you're trying to prevent for death, if you have that many steps in, your body it just works better, and you can last longer and live longer.
All right. What are some additional ways we can incorporate mobility in our daily lives, And to give like a specific example, as students, we sit in a classroom, like all day. We don't get the chance to move around very much. So what are some additional solutions that you could propose?
I would say start from getting to bed early so that when you wake up, you're more rested and ready to move. And then so you leave your house a little earlier and park farther away from your school entrance.
Okay.
So you walk more to get there. And then have an exercise routine, work out with a buddy, or work out when you have to listen to a book or a textbook. And so you study and you work out at the same time. You'll be surprised how much you can train yourself to be an audio learner. You're reading, but you're not reading by your eyes, you're listening to a book that will help you with certain subjects and as you're exercising. Because actually when you employ more faculties in your body, your memory system will grab the information more. So the more you employ your faculties, meaning your body, your eyes, your sense of smell, your sensory system, and you stamp it on your memory, then you get a lot of studying done actually.
What type of warm-ups and cool-downs best support mobility improvement?
If you're talking about walking, we really don't need that much to be able to walk unless we have a problem. If you sprain your ankle, of course you can't walk for a while.
Say maybe you're getting into like a workout or some like intense practice, maybe for like a sport.
Yeah. Say if I'm gonna go for a tennis match with a friend, I would probably go for do some speed walking, get my blood going, and then I do some stretching. I probably stretch before my speed walk, and then it's determined also by your heart rate. You want to do your warm up so that your heart rate will begin to ramp up, but not at the peak, because you do want to save your energy for the actual workout.
Right.
And so you can't make yourself tired before you even start, but it does need to be something that would increase your heart rate. Cool down would be the same. I check my heart rate when I have an exercise watch that I wear when I go exercising. And I don't just stop the exercise. I actually would, if I go for a run, I would just begin to jog.
Just like
gradually ease yourself, and then I go, or maybe a speed walk, and then you come to, and you begin to see, oh, my heart rate is pretty close to resting. Yeah, so it's to help your system slow down. In fact, what it does is that it helps your parasympathetic system, nervous system, to kick in, to take over. Because when you're doing high intensity workout, your sympathetic system is in full gear, and so you need to let the parasympathetic system come in by calming yourself down, and you actually feel good. You feel the rush of adrenaline and the rush of serotonin. You just feel, man, I feel good after I'm so glad I did this.
Yeah. At what point do you actually start to cool down? Like, when do you stop pushing yourself?
When I reach my target heart rate.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, if you keep going too far, you eventually get too sore for a longer time.
In what cases would you say you should take a break or maybe not continue, even though you haven't reached your goal?
If you hurt yourself, if you don't feel good.
But like, to what extent? Because some people mistaken that for being like lazy, So.
Well, if you have a headache, maybe you didn't hydrate yourself, and if you keep pushing, it can become dangerous, especially when it's hot. You don't want to get into a real heat-related injury, like a heat stroke. That would become dangerous to your liver, to your brain. So you don't want to do that. But your body usually has an ability to tell you something isn't right. I need to stop. Just listen to your body. There's when you don't feel good, there is an alarm system. Some red flag has come up, and you don't know exactly what's wrong, but you just shouldn't push yourself.
Are there specific tests we can perform ourselves to discover mobility limitations?
There is a test. Basically, it's from sit to stand. It's just time yourself how long it takes for you to get up from the floor.
Oh.
And so you do your Indian sit or whatever sit on the floor and test yourself how many seconds it takes for you to get up to stand. I think it's called get up and stand test.
And lastly, what are some ways people can combat mobility issues at home? Just like a general outline.
So it really depends on where the person is at. If you're already moving every day, we would have a different regimen than if you have not been moving hardly, So with a lot of patients that I see, I would have them set a timer. Now that we have a smartphone, you can set a timer for every hour. The timer will go off, and you have to walk around the house once. That's how you start. They don't have to navigate unpredictable terrain outside. They know their home. They can even hold onto the couch, but they know how to get around from one end of the house to the other and come back. Okay. If that's too much, maybe once every 2 hours. Some patients can only do it once every 3 hours, and that's fine. You just start somewhere. You have to just start somewhere. Some patients who are higher level, then we will work on probably getting how long you can stand up desk, that kind of thing. That would be higher level. So for people like you, to improve mobility, I would use one of those fitness watch and count your steps.
Okay.
Get your steps, and that's easy way. Because you walk down the hallway from classroom A to B, that counts. And you can put those in, and you don't have to even go out of your way, because it does take a few hours to actually put in 10,000 feet, 10,000 steps. So if you incorporate all of this, getting out of a car to the door, all of that, actually you'll find that it's not hard to meet the requirement.
I've also heard things about stretching in the morning. Is that good for you, would you say?
It's general. If you have the time for it, it's good. It's good. Because when you first get up, most likely you're stiff. Actually, so I would recommend for a person to already walk around, get yourself ready, take a shower, do the things that you're gonna do to prepare for the day. And then, because that's the time for your joints to be lubricated. You can't stretch real stiff joints. You're just fighting against it. So you have to allow the joint fluid to come in and out. Then the joint's lubricated, and it works for you, and you stretch more. You stretch better.
So you don't want to stretch like first thing in the morning. You want to usually
I wouldn't do that. I don't think it's all that wise. We build up a lot of fluid in our joint when we are not moving. When we do move, the fluid comes in and out, and we're very mobile. But if you think of it, everybody wakes up in the morning taller.
Yes.
Because we accumulate fluid in your spine. Why would you stretch that versus later on when the joint is more limber, not so swollen, so to speak.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Thank you so much for this advice and this knowledge.
Sure.
Thank you for your time too.
I'm happy to help. Yes.
All right.